I'm Anthony Casey, and welcome to episode 12 of Training Thought and Truth. Okay, welcome to episode 12. I'm here with Kevin Casey again, and we're here to discuss, well, basically on this podcast I've talked a lot about my own view of Christianity, and I suppose it encompasses part of what I was trying to do with the Training Thought and Truth. The truth is taken from the New Testament of Christ's line, I am the way, the truth and the life. And that basically it sums up Christianity. But you're here to give. See, we dealt into this a small bit, I suppose, with your other podcast, and I suppose you were the 5th episode, so I would have had plenty of. Well, I obviously do a lot of reading on this, so I would have had plenty of ideas to back up where I was coming from, had stuff prepared or whatever. So this is more just to give. You be taking an atheist viewpoint,
correct?
On the things, on the same things we're looking at, basically.
Yeah. So like, it's not pointing at saying one view is right, one view is wrong, but it's showing how, firstly, how powerful the internet is. Secondly, how you can refine a search and find out certain information, and thirdly, then it kind of gives an atheist view of standing outside listening to religion sides of creationism, and it kind of points at questions and demands answers from that side. Not that I'm demanding answers from you, I'm just showing you how exactly it can come across and how many different views are out there.
Well, before we delve into it, right, let's discuss how, in your opinion, how two people from the same family, the same upbringing, same environment, can have opposing views in that way. Well, firstly, where do you think that can originate from?
Like, I know you've talked about it before. Like, everyone does their christening. You're obviously not aware of that. You do your communion. You're somewhat aware, and you want to. You have your family around you, and you're told, behave in the church. God is watching you. And in between communion, confirmation, you start kind of maturing a bit, and you start going, there's a God, I need not sin, I need to go say my prayers. Then you have your confirmation. I think that's where everyone drops off.
This is where you're becoming a teenager almost, probably. But there's also secondary school, so your education, I suppose, and well, really a big thing. Sorry, you continue there.
Yeah, no, all I was saying was, so you have your confirmation. The next thing you have then is a wedding, funeral, or some sort of Christmas mass. Apart from that, then you're not. Schools aren't bringing you up for anything. I mean, you have your graduation, but it's not really it's done in a church, but it may not be a holy thing. So, and your religion then in secondary school is not, like we had a live O, which was singing songs of God and all. The religion then in secondary school is looking at other religions. So it's not really pinning you down to Christianity. It's just saying it's like history, It doesn't pin you down to your country, but there is a little bit. But see, I think at that age, then you're kind of off on your own. And as you spoke with Paddy and Tom about it, you're on your own. It's your freedom. You find your own way. And if you don't make connections in your life, like I wouldn't have said that something happened in my life, and the only reason it happened was God was definitely looking over me. It's coincidence or science or it's odds, matter of odds. Like I think. If I was playing football and I kicked a point in the last minute of the game, won the game, that might have happened 20 times previous and I might have kicked it wide. Maybe it was just the odds of that one. And that's how I viewed. And then, obviously, we both had personal connections with Nana, but it took different ways. Like, I respect her and I respected her views, and I'd never dash it. I just didn't get the same connection with God, or didn't find the same connection with religion as you might have found.
But you probably wouldn't notice that I went through long years of not being religious in any way.
You always would have blessed yourself passing the graveyard though.
Maybe so,
Which was, you still had something, maybe it was habit.
Well, I think, as well, when you grow up in Catholic Ireland as well, that used to happen on the school bus. Everyone did it, and they were told to mark respect by their elders to do. And maybe it was habit, but maybe regardless of God, it was a mark of respect to those who had probably passed or that.
Yeah.
Even though it was making a symbol of the cross at the time. I did veer from it though. 25, 26, 27 even. Well, very shortly after I was 27 changed, but I would have been very much on the fence, very much in the evolutionary standpoint.
Were you questioning it, or were you just sitting on the fence and waiting for something to happen?
I was fairly solid that evolution was true, and that most of the Bible was myth, and it was, someone had put it in place to control people. I remember hearing years ago that you take one O out of good and you get God, and you take the D out of the devil and you get evil. And that this was a way of controlling people. And I got sucked into a lot of documentaries you used to see, like ancient aliens on and all this kind of thing, made you think that
dog-headed men.
Now it turns out that though that nobody, that them particular ancient aliens, that was a big hit. Apparently, it was all. Some astrophysicists have spoken about it, but they never quoted anyone ever knows.
No.
But we just wanted to see. Yeah, so you're saying that basically you can grow up in the same environment. See, it's very Catholicized environment.
Yeah.
Last generation more so. The generation before that more so. Our next generation less so, and that's the way it's going.
But if you find, I don't know whether you found but generally, when I was growing up in school, the primary school teachers were a lot older than the secondary school teachers. So you'd have people who were maybe in their 50s teaching kids, and they were, so you can imagine when we grew up it was very Catholic Ireland. Imagine back then it was even more so. So they carried their faith and they pushed it into the primary school.
Yeah.
But when you got to the secondary school, you had people, maybe when I was there, maybe like we had teachers that were probably your age, who were 5 years older than me, who just left school, studied and became teachers.
Yeah.
Man didn't have the same view.
It's strange as well. That's true, and I never really thought about that because primary school teachers are generally older. But I think personally, it was like being forced to do Irish, the whole religion thing. Going there, mumbling, bored. The same things uttered over and over again. Gets monotonous. Everyone's chanting. You can see how it's cultish, and you can. I think, right, so there's a stage one for us, you grow up in it. Stage two is after communion, you're that age, you go into school, and that's the next. I'm not saying it's staged for everybody. I'm just saying that's when people start to disperse because they have their own mind. They're not adults, but they're start to look at the world and know what people can do in history, and they understand a lot more about how people react to stuff. And then I've often said lately in these podcasts that there's a third review of it that I came to. I didn't actually come to it willing to come to it. In that sense, the way I say that is that I had an experience, right? And I have to be honest about it because the way I'm going to put it, because it sounds a bit cuckoo, and I often listen to people saying it, this, that, and the other, but it was as if a presence entered the room. Very, very odd, experience, but just changed everything. And I went home, and I remember sitting on the couch, and people were saying, Paddy showed me the Kent Hovind guy, and even though I had that experience, I was still completely, well, evolution's true, and they're talking mythology. It took me from going from the fence to saying, let's take another look at this. And then I read books on theology and a lot of mathematicians and different things like that. And from that, regardless of the school thing, I started to jot down loads of stuff and realise there's so much science behind it in certain ways. But I knew you needed that experience. The science wasn't enough. And that was a problem. And you could never, but it's also, I think, the right idea, because you can never teach someone to be a Christian from an atheist. And I think that's the whole idea. You have to, say God wants you to come to it by yourself. And it's set for everyone individually. It's there Do you know what I'm trying to say? Is that, you know, I couldn't sit down and say, the reason why you're atheist and I'm Christian, right? Look, listen to all this, and then expect you to go away any more different than you are. You won't. You'll go out and you'll say, yeah, there was some interesting stuff, but at the end of the day, you know. But then if you went home tonight and your front door opened and you know, then you'd be like, hold on, should I be looking at this again? And I think that's when I realised there was a bit of science behind it. Now, it took me a long time. I remember flicking off Kent Hovind and said, that's bollocks. And what are we doing here? And then Noah's Ark thing is saying, and then, but at the same time, a lot of Christians say, a lot of Catholics, you know, our grasp as Catholics is the Bible is metaphorical, and these stories are lessons. And I know Jordan Peterson does a big biblical lecture of how he pulls psychological depth out of the stories and says what they mean or whatever. But there is, I find, some truth in it too, with stories that sound unbelievable, you know. So that's what I got to the question: what is Christian anti-scientific? And that's where you have to come from with it, you know. So what's your opinion on that?
Like, it depends. Like, there's a lot of scientists, archaeologists, paleontologists who are very much Christian. And one of the things that I was going to talk about was with Ron Wyatt's discoveries, and a lot of them were researchers who went out to prove to view where Ron Wyatt carried out his bits and pieces, and said, unfortunately, as much as we would love it, these are not findings. There's not enough evidence. So I'm not saying that science and religion are on two different spectrums. They're not. You have science, like you have molecular behavior, aging to some degree, chemicals. They can be carried out. They're not based. What you do come across then is your evolution, which science never claims it knows all. But what it does is it carries out tests on the observable science. And predicts. So like it predicts how two electrons. We've never seen an electron. We can't see an electron. But we can predict how electrons are going to behave, and by carrying out tests and predicting it, we can make things like medicines and household cleaning agents. So they can carry out falsifiable tests, and through their predictions and through their methods and theories, they can then put it into practice and into something that we can physically see. So we know electrons exist, but we don't see them, but we know how they're going to behave with each other. So that kind of thing. So
is it interesting though as well, just on the point of electrons, and you know, we believe in things that we can't see but they work. It's like, you know, the same thing people say, your potential, you know, you believe that obviously there is something, and you know, we grasp for it. But on the God thing, you know, I get what you're saying. The knowledge, science means knowledge, or actually, I think in Latin,
knowing.
It's like a drive for knowing, or there's some longer, but basically that's what it means. And so, you're right. It sets up experiments and tests, and it comes together. So, the problem, I remember hearing this a while ago. Like, I listened to William Lane Craig's big theologian, David Wood, used to say, you know, say on the origins of life, this is where the big, I didn't realise, we're never told this, that there's a big gap there, and maybe we should be, because if you were told, all you're told is that evolution is true in schools, and then you get religion class, and it's a little bit different. But if you're at science class, you know, I remember being taught, you know, this life form appeared in something billion years ago, and everything you read in the books is, you know. But
very little about evolution though in school science. But
it is a thought as if that's how everyone goes about it.
I would say it's down to, like, I remember I done science first to third year. I don't remember evolution being mentioned at all. Now, saying that, in first to third year in religion, they didn't mention God created the earth, but God created the earth was primary school. So when you get to secondary school, I didn't study anything about evolution. I don't remember anything. I didn't do biology or anything like that for Leaving Cert, so I can't speak on that. But I would say, depending on your teacher, might give you a different view.
That's true. Depending on their views, you know. But as well, the point I was making there was, so basically, if it's if you're told that there is a competing, and because if you're told that, I don't remember being told that, but that's very big, because they say the Big Bang as if that's it, but when you look into it, it's not. There's a big, huge gap, which is the origins of matter, space, and time, which have to come into existence at the same time.
Yeah.
And because they say if you have matter and no space, where do you put it? Or matter and no time, when do you put it? And so the idea is when the three of them come into, so they look at natural ways to explain that, and they can't.
Yeah.
So there is a possibility that if you can't explain it by a natural way, there is a possibility, even in science, that it could be supernatural.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, there's no evidence of the Big Bang. They don't have clinical evidence of the Big Bang. They can predict the Big Bang, and it was down to was it zero energy universe, zero matter universe. That's because in space we've so many, say, particles and holes opening and closing due to pressure that's how they predict it happened. At the same time as that, no, there isn't. There is the possibility of a supernatural force.
Yeah.
Again, can't be proven.
Yeah.
So there is two very competing sides. Yeah.
But how science also comes to conclusions as well is by evidence and compiling evidence. And I think as though there might be a prejudice in science against creationism.
Okay.
I'm not saying the age of the earth or anything like that. I'm saying the idea of creationism. So if you have something that has come out of nothing, that's fine, seems fine-tuned, and works in sync, and it's governed by all these laws that we don't know. Like, they actually can't explain gravity. Even the astronauts don't know what it is. They can't replicate it. But it's the most basic of laws. Like, that's the first thing you know when you get up in the morning, kind of thing. Inertia, centrifugal force. All these laws are pre-made there. The rotation of the Earth is in perfect sync. We're one astronaut 1 mile from the sun. Perfect eclipses come, and it's very fine tuned. Now it is.
Now that's not to say though, if the Earth was that bit closer to the sun, me and you mightn't exist, but a different form of a human being might exist that survives in that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that.
Yeah, but we can't find it, kind of thing. I remember there's an analogy of this: if you go to a rocky beach and there's a load of rocks on it, but then you see one rock that has writing on it. I'm in a shed up the road, tied up, help me. Do you ignore it, or do you say there's evidence that someone with intelligence has made their mark on this? Now it can be random. People say you can throw things up, but the problem is when they say about nothing exploded, or even voids and material particles are matter. They don't, because it's also thrown in a spawny. God can't be eternal, but because nothing can be eternal. But then matter can't be eternal. And that's the same. It's a lock of heads there. It's very difficult to know which way to go.
It is. Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying these arguments convince me.
No, just what is out there.
And you're saying
exactly what I'm finding is
it could come to this way. Yeah. And I want to read out a few of some stuff I came across. The deductive reasons for faith in God. These are right.
Okay.
So one is the cosmological argument, and these are kind of technical because they came from a book I read called Reasonable Faith about 2 years ago. So I think there's 4 or 5 arguments on it. So the cosmological argument is simply which everything that comes into existence has a cause within nature. The universe came to existence, therefore has a cause. However, it's not within nature. Natural laws are matter. So that's the cosmological argument. That's very simplified. The origin of moral values. If God doesn't exist, then objective moral values and duties do not exist. Objective moral values do exist, therefore God exists. These are kind of these deductive arguments, they're called, that scientists sometimes put out, and theologians and philosophers as well.
Can take back, the
fine-tuned universe, this is which is due to either physical necessity, chance, or design. It is not due to physical necessity or chance, therefore it's design. The ontological argument: it's possible for a maximal great being to exist. The first premise is, it is possible for a maximal great being to exist if a possibly if it is possible for a maximally great being to exist, then a maximally great being exists in some possible world. If a great maximally being exists in some possible worlds, then it exists in every possible world. If a maximally great being exists in some possible world and every possible world, then it exists in the actual world. If it exists in the actual world, then a maximally great being exists. There are condensed arguments of it, but that's actually a mathematical equation you had to put into words to formulate it. So, like, obviously, to say on the Bible, first on Ron Wyatt, there is a lot of clash on that. Just actually wanted to go to that. Ron, but the problem I find is that there's clashes on everything. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I do get that, and also, say for Noah's Ark, right? It sounds a bit crazy about Noah's Ark, but archaeologists and historians do often cite the Bible to find landmarks.
Yeah.
So it goes to say that these people that they're talking about did exist. Like Pontius Pilate, right? There was no ever books written about him. There was no historical writings or log for him. It was just Matthew, Mark, John, but they're New Testament, and they obviously would be talking about people who are around them.
Correct. Yeah.
But he was. What was his role? He was like chief of the executioners. He was the head of the Romans.
Yeah.
But when they only like 70 years ago, when they knocked down this big site in Jerusalem, they found Pontius Pilate written on a pillar and his landmark.
This is Ron Wyatt.
No. This is what I was building up the Ron Wyatt is that, say for Noah's Ark, right? This one even sounds crazy to talk about, right? Because we know this as a story, a colouring book, all this kind of thing. The Old Testament says it landed in the mountains of Ararat, right?
Yeah.
And that's where they found this site. So they went up, and it says it's 100 cubits, and which is the measurement of it, and it has a depth, and they found different joists and things like that.
Yeah.
But also NASA engineers went out to that site, and there was historians and researchers, not from America, who flew over, who did qualified guys who did verify it as well. Like the Turkish government even put that as Noah's Ark, and they built it, whatever. But as well, I've seen a lot of criticism on Ron Wyatt. He's making false claims and this, that, and the other. And then I've seen guys going back to it, like philosophers and historians, saying no, like wood experts. They had different types of experts on things. There seems to be the problem here as well, I think, is that I say Catholicism.
Yeah.
I don't say I'm Catholic, right? Someone came in the other day and said, your Old Testament is King James, it's Protestant. I said, well, I don't really, it's basically the same. There's nothing very much in it that's different. There's nothing really, and has sites at the bottom. So what I was saying there was that he was Protestant, and a lot of the Catholic Church did not approve of him going around making these findings.
Yeah.
I think there was a part of that they were, there was someone on the other side almost, because they were so controlling. Everyone knows what the Catholic Church was like,
Yeah.
But at the same stroke, you could say, look at Bill Nye. He went through the Noah's Ark Museum and started there's a video of that he went.
I went to that, yeah.
Yeah, but Bill Nye has no scientific, degrees in anything. He had a children's program. He's actually been condoned, or not condoned. He's been renounced by the scientific community in the last few years because he made racial slurs and he made he made very anti-scientific statements. Now, he did raise good questions, and unfortunately there was guys who I think didn't.
That was him and Ken Ham.
Yeah, Ken Ham.
He doesn't do a whole lot for the creation.
He's not like and like William Lane Craig I just quoted there. He's he's creationist. He's not a young earther like that.
Yeah.
And you probably have to be Peterson talks about Noah's Ark, but as in prehistory.
Yeah.
As in every culture in the world has a worldwide flood story. The Chinese had it, the Egyptians had it, the Native Americans had it. There's hundreds of them who had it. But he said it's pre-world. Now, the problem as well with that is there's different ways to interpret the Bible. People interpret the Bible different ways, but it only says one thing. It doesn't give dates or anything like that. but I don't know. It doesn't specify that, because the point is the Old Testament that the rise and fall of Israel, the prophet arose, and the New Testament is Christ. Yeah. He makes all things new. So a lot of people asked him about the Old Testament, which was written way before Christ, and he didn't go back on anything, but he was setting it right, making it more relevant, making modern teachings.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I actually have only doing research recently, and I have both things on wrong way, which I'll go into first, and then I do have actually things that are so they're like biblical contradictions. But anyway, so this is from an atheist. What I did was, for this one, now for the biblical inaccuracies or contradictions, I actually typed that into the search.
Okay.
And I found it. But for Ron White, what I did was I just typed in Ron White.
Yeah.
And it was quite startling the amount of websites that call him fake. But anyway, we'll just start with the ark. I looked at the picture and then I was okay, it does look quite boat-like. When I clicked into the link, apparently there's actually 3 shapes that easily could be a boat, which was mapped. So, as well with the ark, the Turkish government had cordoned off the area. He went to get a warrant to allow him to search the site. So he called, I think it was a Dr. Martin, and there was another guy. There was actually 4 and brought up to the site. So apparently, this is now again me searching Ron White. They went to meet up at a certain time. I think it was 10 a.m. Say 10 a.m. in the morning. 2 guys arrived there, and Ron White and his other associate weren't there. So what they said was he came out half an hour later and he says, "Look, we just done a 10-minute pass of it. We just scanned the bottom of the boat, the hull of the boat. That's what we got." So they said, okay, so the permit then came through, warrant came through, but the Turkish government wouldn't let them on site with their scanners, their radar scanners. And then he produced a full boat shape that he had scanned, although he had told his 2 associates that he only done the hull and he only got the bottom, and he was able to produce it. So that was one thing that was found on it. Just trying to see now where there's other. So there's another one was the detectors that they used only had a 1 foot depth range and were nothing more than the back of a treasure guider's the tool that was on a magazine, was what it claimed, that they had no scientific value.
Who's that from?
This is from, so what actually happened was a scientist in a university that he used to verify it actually didn't know that Ron White used his name. And he knew about the search and was contacted when these guys, this particular one, it's actually Answers in Genesis was the name of the website. There's actually 2 websites that actually are Christian websites.
Yeah, I know this one.
That refute him, Ron White. But so these guys done a scientist, and I think it was maybe 20 years later, they contacted this guy and said, "Look, we want to ask you a few questions about it." He said, "Oh yeah, I know the thing." They said, "Well, so you verified the pieces of wood?" And he said, "I have no idea." He said, "I knew about the thing, but I said no wood has even come to me for scanning it."
But you did see the documentary with the guys in their labs, the scientists or whatever.
I did, but there's also, let's say, talk about the blood of Christ. There is no lab or university that ever come out to say that they were the ones that tested it.
Yeah, but they have tested. So say that's found on several different sites. So
which one?
The blood of Christ. That's, say Ron White said about the Ark of the Covenant, right?
Yeah.
But it's also the Shroud of Turin found the same chromosome count, and so did that Italian in more recent time. Where they dropped the Eucharist.
Yeah.
Put it in the water. The tree then came back with the chromosome counting.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, so when someone goes to view and I just type in Ron White, and these are the websites I get, and I'm finding that there is no lab that admitted that they were the ones that tested the blood.
In Jerusalem, his one, yeah.
But even what they come along to then afterwards is that archaeologists, professional archaeologists, because he was an amateur archaeologist.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, he's a nurse anaesthetist or something. Like the story with the chariot wheel. Numerous people have accounts of his wife and his son telling them that Ron actually placed the wheel there. The wife, when she said she scuba dived down as well, said that everything looked like a chariot wheel there.
Is there I'm not saying that Ron is true, right? Because
No.
I came across as well. But is there also a chance that people are putting them, are also putting their story out there as well? Like Answer to Genesis isn't a scholarly website, but I'm not saying now that he didn't do it. I'm not saying that because I'm not an expert on Ron Wyatt. What I did find intriguing was where the boat was. They went up the hill and there was they found the ancient stone with the engravings of the people in the boat, and it was like chiseled into it. But I'm not saying, you're right. This is an important thing as well, that we question everything that we see, because the internet, like you said, we can look at certain things and find a lot of stuff on the internet. The internet is so blown out of proportion, or so vast on every subject, that when I type in Ron Wyatt, a lot of stuff comes up before I find,
And about fake.
No, there is, like, second or third thing, there is fake, you know what I mean? Like, and there's plenty there that's fake. Like, he could have only had the findings published once or twice, there's one other thing put it whenever it was. There's a lot to say as well. I'm not saying that, what I see in documentaries was different guys from NASA and all verifying it, which is very hard to struggle against. But then if you say there is other scientists who say, no, that's not true. This is where, you see, because when this came to light as well, you kind of say, well, if this is true without a shadow of a doubt, surely everyone should know. You know what I mean? I think really with faith, that gets rid of the idea of faith, because if everything was true, and I said this before about if God was in the sky, you'd know he was there. Like a lot of atheists say, why doesn't God appear to everybody in plain daylight, and then we'd all know, But that the idea of you making the step, that could be part of the test of life. I don't know. That it's a story of the Tower of Babel. And these people were branched away from the Exodus story, and it's basically a story about pride, and they wanted to build a tower so high that basically it was a structure so high that in their mind it metaphorically pierced heaven, as a way of saying we don't need God, kind of thing, and this is where the Bible talks about where he scattered the people with different languages so they couldn't communicate and build up against them in a way. And it was a sin of pride, basically, that we don't need God, we can do this. And that's why it's called Babel, because it's the different languages. That's where the name of the tower comes from, But, Ron Wyatt, you won't find him in the Testaments or anything like that. Now, I do think some of the stuff is intriguing, and some of the guys that are on site are scholarly known, but at the same time, it is, you find both sides of it, and it's important to question both sides of it as well.
No, it is,
And I'd say, when I was talking about is Christianity anti-science, when I kind of stand here to defend Christianity, I'm defending Christ and Christ's word. It's really New Testament stuff, and I have probably pages on it because I think he's fairly solid as a character. It's hard to go against him. I remember, someone saying recently, I think we both know who it is, if he was alive now, he'd be carrying a coffee cup around, But see, the problem with that is, when you dig, I was just back from Israel, I seen all they were middle class, had their own carpentry shop. They were well known for that. He was 30 before he decided to go into the ministry, and he was 33 when he died, so it's 3 years. But when you read his quotes in the New Testament, they're so intelligent, for back then, and they're in parables. It's like they stand the test of time because they're in parables almost. And the concepts, and there's no flaws in the concept of I'm knocking every man's door. He said that when he was alive. Like, obviously, he'd say all these things. He's creating the what we believe the metaphysical image of him. For when he's gone, he's there. But there's, in the Gospel of Thomas, it says it's only discovered in the 1950s.
When you say only discovered?
Uncovered. They had, like, the Bible is they were all murdered. And his writings were obviously not published before he was. But he says, the kingdom of God is laid out in front of men, but men do not see it. And that all these things are So I'd say, like, I think Christianity is not anti-science, and I'll make a small case for it and we can talk about it. So I would say that it could be like anti-scientism, because there is an anti-scientism thing where it's to get rid of maybe religion. You know, there's definitely people like, who would you say, Richard Dawkins out there, who devoted his life to get rid of, you know, religion. Thinks it's a cancer on the world. What's Sam Harris?
Yeah.
You know, he's quite well spoken, and he go against it quite a lot. But you know, science says the universe from the beginning, and the world was created from nothing. It's based. What I said about that, and about the evidence of the supernatural, and where was I jumping to? Sorry. So I was saying about the Bible also has a lot of stuff that science took from as well. You know, say the world was round. You know, was in the Bible before anyone thought about it, or there was a lot of stuff about physical exercise on your body, how important, you know, bacteria to keep away, keep clean, and all the, you know, there's a lot of like stuff. The Book of Job has hundreds of things like that, you know,
which are not. That's not God's words about. That's just facts about the world we live in.
Yeah.
Not necessarily religion based, but in a religious scripture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd make, so say if you make a case for, right, they say the Bible is the inspired word of God, the Old Testament. So what does inspired mean? Well, inspire means to breathe. It's where the name comes from, you know. So the expire means, you know, out of term, or someone expires when they die. So the inspire is to breathe life into. So the question then is, what does it mean to be inspired? If these are, well, if you think about neurology, you know, I delved into this a lot because I wanted to know if, you know, when we're here discussing these things, right? But where does our thoughts come from? Not where does our evidence or where does this, that, or the other come from? Like the very act of a thought manifesting in your mind is very unknown to us, even in neurology. You know, why we're able to question these things, how we just react when it manifests itself. And I have a lot of stuff on kind of the mental effort your brain takes. So like the brain, they reckon that the brain doesn't produce the mind. There's neuroscientist Wilder Penfield, and he applying electrode to the motor cortex. He forces patients to involuntarily raise their arms, vocalize or recall memories, but he cannot involuntarily force patients to act. He could stimulate the will, so he could not stimulate the will. He said there's no place in the cerebral cortex where electronical stimulation causes a patient to decide something. He concluded that there's a causal force missing that cannot be explained by brain chemistry alone, and he argued that the mind was not in the brain chemistry.
Okay.
And then because they had visual binding problems. Visual binding means that the brain's been completely mapped, and there's no place where that could be responsible for unifying perceptions, so that different parts of the brain store information about colours, objects and shapes, but there's overwhelming evidence to find it contains no high resolution full view representation of visual scene, even though they are subjectively experienced. So they cannot conclude the brain gives rise to the mind, and it cannot be responsible for the subjective experience it unifies. And like they map effort, like mental effort can be remapped in brain chemistry. Like they do a therapy with stroke victims that they can change the neurons in the brain that leads the mind to shape and manipulate the brain, and not the other way around. You know, and it's quite interesting that the fact that we're conscious and we think or we dream these ideas, you know, it's like we try and, you know, animals like don't do that, you know, like they don't decide like we do and have free will and the matter then likes. So I think that the brain, the conscious mind that cannot be located it's like that's what gives us the spark of divinity, I think, you know. That what gives us meaning, you know. Same about, you know, inspiration and things like that as well. Why do we get inspired? You know, where does that come from? Say The Sound of Silence, you know that song.
Yeah.
It was redone by Disturbed in recent years, and people loved it. It was much more powerful, and it was the orchestra kicked it off, and it gives you like you know, when you hire it up and you blast it, you know, causes a reaction. But what is that reaction? if we're just chemicals and bacteria, why do we react inspired by that, or get that feeling from it? And I think that's what Christianity does in people's lives. It gives them that, which they can't locate. It's that act of being inspired, or that act of meaning, gives it you relate to it, and because if you're a materialist point of view, you're just a byproduct, an accidental byproduct of nature. But yet people hold moral value on life. People,
which can be debated for animals. Animals do have morals in terms of looking after their young, not going into their territory that's not theirs. Mating with one mate, like the swans, they mate with one mate, that's it. So there is evidence of morals outside of human consciousness, which is in animals, which can be fought against to say, well, if animals have morals, we have morals. I think one of the most amazing things for humans is that we do have morals. Now, this is my opinion, because after death, I wouldn't like to say that it's complete blackout. I would hope that after death, our mind is still running like a dream, but it fades out. It fades to black. You know what they say, you can live 3 days in a dream and wake up and you've only slept 4 hours. So I would say that it feels like you woke up another day and you moved, but eventually we're going to fade out. But I think that to hold moral value over something whilst going through that life, knowing that is your end, I find that amazing. But I wouldn't say that.
See, in a lot of neurology, they say that if the mind does carry on by natural means, it'll be a lot more random. And when people come out near-death experiences, just talking about this in the last podcast, people come to critical condition. 1 in 20, 20%. It's 1 in 5. Report a near-death experience, and it's very consistent. I was quoting from a journal of. A scientific journal in America, a medical journal, that surgeons were being converted because of the things they were talking about were so consistent across the world. It's become big scholarly investigation over the last 40 years that so many people have, regardless of atheism or Buddhist or whatever, they go have this tunnel experience, a view of life, sometimes a choice whether to come back or not. And the neurologists weigh in and say, if people's minds carried on, it'd be a lot more random. It'd be like static on a TV. The chemicals would be fading. You wouldn't be logic to it. But you have atheists waking up as Christians and Muslims doing the same thing. It's. I'm not saying it's fact. It's far from fact. But it's evidence enough to look at it. I think that people disregard these kind of evidential things. I think that. It's showing us that there's something else there, but it can't go too far. That's my opinion on it. That what belief does, it gives you an inkling. Here's Christ. Here's a guy who was only 3 years in ministry, over 2,000 years ago. All his followers were slaughtered, but yet he's the biggest, most influential person in the world. Over 2,000 years later, and people. The difference with him, he says, he's the living God, and so he's coming into people's lives, and I didn't know any of these quotes, but every man must be born again. These kind of things, where it is consistent with these people's coming back to it. It's very hard to talk to someone about it who never went through it, because it's kind of like, that's not fact. And it's true, it's not fact, and people can't believe someone else's experience. But I think the evidence of we can't locate the conscious mind, but it's there, or people come back from it, or where do morals come from for an atheist?
But that's
we base our standard of morals on God as the ultimate good, and we have the lessons and we strive to be the ultimate good.
So what would say if here's a depiction, so 100,000 years ago, there's human-like creatures, the ones that we came from, who know not to take their neighbours their food supplies because they die. It's because if you take something, like animals, even though you take something away, like they can trap animals can trap their prey and leave them to starve for days before picking on them. So it becomes then, oh well, in order to keep this alive, I need to feed it. So one creature to another feeds it.
Why not always be out for yourself? You know, if I truly, like honestly, I truly believed that there was no God, which I don't think even scientists say. They say, atheism says, atheism, it comes from Latin again, where theism is belief. It's like muse is to think, and muse is not to think. That's where they get amusement parks or comes from. It's all Latin, but derived into Old English. But I was saying there, if there was no atheists. Sorry, where was I going?
You were saying if you were an atheist, morals.
Yeah, well, morals. Yeah, if I was an atheist, I would. If I really lived by that, I would just be out for myself. You know, and I think that, I don't know, my brain structure is not that. It's not that I want to do that. But I think that if I really believed in no God, why would I try, and not manipulate things that won't go well for me? Like, in the grand scheme of things, why would that be bad? And who's to say it is bad? And who's to say that what's bad for someone is not bad for me?
Well, let's say, so now I'm an atheist now. There's a guy in work and he's going to get the job before me, so I just kill him. Because then I'm get it. I'm not going to get it. Because there's laws in place.
But is that the only thing stopping people?
No, there's.
Do you agree that we hold a high regard for life?
Yeah, I would hold a high regard for life. I don't believe that there's a God. I don't believe that morals that we have came from a God or came from a Messiah or Jesus or a messenger. They were there before us. I would think in my head that whoever came up with religion made it very easy and said, well, the way we live is because God gave us these ways to live. And society wasn't going to turn around and go, well, if God gave us that, we're going to do the opposite and start slaughtering people and cut people's necks off.
Yeah.
So I think it goes back a lot further than we can date, and because of that, my opinion, religion found it very easy to jump on it and say, we'll take that. Yeah,
that we were going to say that God is that structure.
Yeah.
Could be the case, but I think that if people live out that, it will eventually get to a stage where if we're all bacteria and chemicals, people in power could make the rules to suit them. It could be
which does easily happen with presidents.
Like Friedrich Nietzsche, he was a historian and philosopher. He announced the death of God, and a lot of this is in 1882. But basically, what he meant was that the fundamentals that the Western society lives on have been crumbling, and he said. And a lot of atheists take that and say God is dead and it's a triumphant thing, But what the full quote is, and we'll never have enough water to wash our hands of what we've done. He predicted the Soviet Union and the totalitarianism that followed a few years later and the deaths of millions.
Yeah.
Like Hitler was atheist, and you could see his doctrine was similar to, so was Stalin. These guys, had very little regard for human life. They wanted things their way, and they were very vocal about being atheists as well. But I'm not saying that was their...
Yeah, but both held very high regards in leadership.
They were both very intelligent guys.
And great leaders. Now, was there, I was only speaking to someone recently about this, was their idea right, but not in how they carried it out? Was the idea right for the perfect world, the perfect way, but not to ridicule, not to kill people, so that they created a specific... Was it just an idea in their head and they interpreted it wrong and they took it out? Like he went and he killed people, he wanted to create this blonde hair, blue-eyed race. Like, you're talking about killing millions of people just to achieve that. Maybe he had an idea of a perfect world, but just didn't know how to interpret it and read it wrong. Like, we can't prove that. Now, he made horrible decisions, but also the people who were his followers. Let's just say, I'm not comparing Hitler to God, but these people, so I'm not comparing Hitler to God. No, I'm not. But I'm stripping it down to an approach where there's a lot of followers who believe in this leader, who is carrying out a certain thing that the rest of the world don't believe in.
Yeah.
So, and he did.
A lot of people say yeah, there's a lot of people say he was the Antichrist, you know, incarnate. He held little regard for human life in a lot of ways. Like he was trying to make something that he thought was beautiful, but science can't access aesthetic judgments, which leads on to say, why do we make them at all? Why do you have a playlist of your favorite music, or why are certain colours more preferable to you? It's very interesting that you have these things that illuminate you in a way, you know. But as well, like, let me see. What do you think of this quote? Yeah. There's that people don't want to. There's an idea, right, that atheists just don't want to live out. That they have an idea that it's true, right, that there is a God. That our feelings and what we do means that much to us, that we do live it out in a certain way, but that we don't want to conform to. If we believe in Christ, say, you have to live that out, and it means everything you do matters. Where nihilism would say nothing matters, and they could suffer for it with the end result. But the offside is that they have no responsibility. And it could be the motivation behind it.
Well, I was only thinking about this, and we were saying so when I started delving into on this topic, so you're saying that what would you say if God did exist, but we're afraid of admitting that,
of living that out almost.
So one of the flaws I find in this is, so science is coming along and it's trying to predict how these things happen, and obviously then there's the science, there's normal day science in the labs being carried. There's also then science going on the back trying to predict how the world started, the world was created. What I found and what I've seen quite troubling to me is, I put this in perspective in an easier way. So I tell you, I'm a dragon at home, breathes fire. I have it in the shed at the back. The dragon is immaterial. The fire is immaterial. The dragon is invisible and the fire is invisible. Is it your job to prove that I don't have a dragon, or is it my job to prove I do have a dragon?
As a standpoint from who am I in this?
I'm just telling you my story, and I'm just asking you just a question. Do I have to prove I have the dragon, or you have to prove I don't have a dragon?
Yeah, no. I heard this one. This is like a spin-off of the flying spaghetti monster kind of thing. You know, in the sky. But I would say that you're living as if there is one.
Who is that?
People.
Living as if there is a...
There is. So it's hard to complicate, because God is an ultimate being, that the highest morals and the creator. So
but funny enough, in the Bible it quotes, God says, I don't know if I have the quote here, but it's, let us create man in our form. Who's the us and who's the our?
Well, see, this is the idea of Christ as well. He said he was there at the beginning. So he says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was made flesh. And this is the idea of the Logos. And this is the Word being made flesh. So Christ was in human form. And it was, the Spirit hovered over the water. So this is the idea of the Holy Spirit. And this is where the Trinity comes in. So it said, on the third night, the Spirit hovered over the water plane, and the Logos as well. And if you act out the Logos, which is Christ's view of the world, like the tradition of the Bible is the book. This is where this is where it all came from. The tradition of it is the book. You see a lot of atheist scholars, and they write out books on why atheism is wrong. Basically, not to worry about it. This is the way of enlightening yourself. But they're acting out the very Logos by doing that. Why make a book to enlighten people? That is what Christ is for. It's the meaning, the drive behind enlightening the world in a way. Like the axiomatic figure of the Western world. They say it's not an accident that he was unfairly nailed to a cross and murdered. It was the idea of the worst possible thing happened to the best possible person. And even up there, he said, you know, Lord, forgive them. They don't know what they do. Or Father, forgive them.
Yeah.
You know, what man can do that almost? You know, if you just take a humanistic view of it, after being scourged almost to death, and there's very historical accuracy about how badly, they reckon he was barely alive going, to even come out with something like that. Or the fact that, they had Roman guards guarding, you know, it wasn't an ordinary thief. There were 2 ordinary thieves put up beside him who weren't beaten. They didn't have a crown of thorns, which the Shroud of Turin shows, and, you know, that actually shows as well that whoever was in that shroud was only there for 3 days. It's only a finding in the 80s. But that, like, the fact that, you know, it's in Roman history. There's a Roman seal on that, you know, and it's in Roman history that that the evidence, it's evidential that the tomb was empty after 3 days. The conspiracy was, you know, his disciples could see that. That's why he put the guards there in the first place.
Yeah.
And then he appeared to each of them, and then they came out of hiding, you know, and then they were separated, but they went to spread the word. After being in hiding, they made a complete U-turn, and each of them were tortured and murdered and went to their deaths, you know, beheadings, crucifixions. Judas killed himself, but because he believed as well, you know, that he had betrayed innocent blood. He tried to give the money back, and this, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, on that as well, over 500 saw him risen. And you know, and there was such a mass crowd that it was so evidentially true that I've seen debates on this where people said that it could have been mass hallucination. But it just doesn't consist with scientific evidence either, because so many people seen the exact same thing. And the Testaments of Paul was written, he wrote his first letter to the Corinthians within 7 years.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't publish it until 40 years later. Not 40 years later, no, 30 years later. But that was when the first one was written, and it had the first-hand witnesses of the event. Very evidential, you know, like it spread. You know, these are going against the Roman Empire, you know, and the Roman Empire eventually converted to Christianity. You know, that's where the Roman Catholic Church comes from. You know, it was so powerful that's for one man who could have been just a crazy loon, which there were probably plenty of, to come out with such intelligent things, timeless almost, and have such an impact on the whole world, does warrant looking into. You know.
But even, so I'm going to quickly go through these. So, so these are the things I spoke earlier on about. Say, Bible contradictions as such. I just want to see. Obviously, I haven't read the Bible, so this is again huge example of what you can find when you do search. So I'll just go through. So say Sabbath day, Exodus
Sunday
28, Sabbath day. So it says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Sunday,
yeah. The Romans wrote, one man esteemeth one day above another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind.
Who said the Romans?
Romans 14.
Oh, Romans, sorry, okay.
Yeah. So it said the permanence of the earth.
So on that point, what is it saying that?
So one is saying keep your day holy. The other are saying one person will hold one day above the other. Let everyone make up their own mind. So it's not actually saying keep your Sunday holy.
Yeah, but okay.
So so these are just quick ones. So say the permanence of the earth. Now we can't actually ecclesiast. Would you know how to pronounce that?
Oh, the book. I haven't actually done too much in
anyway.
Ecclesiastics, I think it is
1:4. The earth abideth forever. But Peter said, the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Yeah,
isn't that it's allurement to if we do not follow the Christian order?
But there's a full stop after that.
Okay.
So let's just
okay. We'll take them first.
Yeah. So seeing God, Genesis 33:30. I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. John 1:18. No man hath seen God at any time. So there's, let's say, like it gets quite. Let's say everlasting covenant. God created an everlasting covenant with Abraham. But then God creates a new set of rules with Moses. So we said, and then Jesus, do not think I've come to abolish the law of the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of pen will by any means disappear from law until everything is accomplished. So that's Matthew. And in Hebrews say, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the people of Israel and with the people of Judah. So it's kind of saying, Matthew's saying that he said, I'm not changing anything.
Yeah.
But
Hebrews are saying... Are some alluding to the second coming out of rapture as well? You know, it could be interpreted that way, where the new covenant is that, you know, that Christ came to fulfill. I remember reading on the prophecies that Christ fulfilled. There was a big, you know, even when they were Romans tried not to, you know, really it was the Jews who killed him. The Romans killed him, but the Jews put him up for death, which was his own people in a way. But he was fulfilling prophecies, you know, and that's what made him. That's why I'm saying he was no ordinary thief. He was battered and beaten, and they put the Roman seal there to make sure, because the prophecy was he would rise 3 days after, and the Romans knew that. And they wanted this religion quashed because it was starting. He was gathering followers, and it could have started an uprising, an overthrow of their power. But also it was taking out Judaism because they didn't believe he was the son of man, the prophet they were waiting for. So like that's why there was such emphasis, and even the fact that he was buried in a rich man's tomb. You know, they were all Josephus did that, but the Romans gave the go ahead accidentally. You know, it was just it was very, you know, and Josephus nearly killed but it wasn't his fault, because the Romans were meant to preserve from the prophecies, and they. More specifically, on the third day, there was more. You know, the guards were there and all. You know, there was mounting. Yeah, Christ did say, you know, to come, but he did highlight a couple of the of Moses' laws. You know, and I think that's, you know, the spread of. I think the spread of atheism. I think, you know, I don't get too much of people being like Richard Dawkins and that going out and devoting their whole life to put down the idea of Christianity. Because I think it's a good moral ethic way to live by. You know, like it teaches. He was the first man who said in the Sermon on the Mount, you know, we've all heard you should love your neighbour as yourself, but I say love your enemy, because if you love only those who love you, what reward is there in that? You know, it was an idea, love everyone, turn the other cheek, you know, to elevate as many people as you can, help people through your struggle. I find that's why I spread it in the podcast, because, you know, my motivation is to help people with their physical health, you know, and their mental health, and one thing helps the other. But also I think that, you know, I found that when I found that spiritual side, it made my whole, like, I wasn't materialistic anymore, and I valued much more stuff, and I went for walks and breathed in nature and appreciated life a lot more. Appreciated, you know, we're very complex creatures, and we don't know exactly much about the world, you know, the cosmos, what we're on a ball of rock that twirls at 67,000 miles an hour. And I appreciate the beauty of it, because it's amazing looking, you know. And Christianity helps me with that, you know, and the fact that maybe Christ came into my life in a metaphysical but manifestation helped that a lot, and that happens a lot, and that's why my motivation is to say as well, if you have the spiritual side as well, and here are reasons for it, I think that's a good cause to push. Not that I'm pushing it, but I'm saying that if people look at it again, they might find that maybe there is evidence there, maybe it's a bit sketchy, but they may find that he is one of the most historically, you know, written about men in history. You know, his life is. You ever hear your man? He was a Las Vegas police detective and an atheist, and he went to debunk Christianity by looking at the Gospels as any forensic texts, and he studied for years, and he concluded that these were the actual words of Christ, and that if it was an evidential case, the resurrection must be true in a way. Now again, it's whatever, but you know, you hear that story, the case for Christ, Lee Strobel, different guy, the journalist, trying to do the same thing, goes and compiles all the evidence, and then all of a sudden realises or whatever, you know. But I think that it's a good way to live by. That book, that New Testament book, is so full of lessons that are unbelievable. You know, sometimes when you're reading, like who could have said them things? This guy was, if he was an normal man, he was a super intelligent guy, and who also wasn't super intelligent when there was not very much education back then. But the way he phrased things and the impact he's had on the world is like no other, you know.
But again, taken from say my point of view, a lot of things he said are quite vague, and then as you said earlier on, like metaphorical, like parables, yeah. Which to you, like to me, listening to it is exactly what he's saying. But to maybe a Christian listening to it, they take from meaning. And part of it then, of the reason when I was talking about the dragon idea, was what I find is religion kind of stands over science's shoulders. This is my view of it, and it says, you know, oh, what are you searching? What are you doing? And science is kind of, you know, trying to do this, not find an answer. And religion kind of, yeah, God. That's how I find it is. It's when science doesn't have an answer, religion kind of goes, that's God. But I think that gap, maybe not in all ways, I think that gap in some ways is closing, and it is why maybe we're seeing a drop off of religion in primary schools.
There's a pull, people are pulling God out of schools, you know, and out of there. And you see that with the abortion thing recently, you know, and that as well, I think, is a lack of, you know, that's taking things out of God's hands as well in a way.
So you would have voted for abortion?
I voted for no abortion.
Yeah, which is the same I would vote for.
Yeah.
But I have no spiritual or religious belief on it. I just believe
but I believe that we hold life at a certain value.
So would you think then that you would hold life at a higher value than I would hold life?
Well, I would think that. See, I try and come at it also scientifically, because Christianity isn't against science. Like science is great. Like I'm a big science advocate.
But science isn't against Christianity or against religion either.
No,
aspects of religion is against science as well.
Yeah,
like there is as much as the two of them lean on each other, the two of them also have a matched debate as well.
Yeah, so I would, you know, I'd often say, you know, yeah. So look, the way I would say it is that, you know, we see him designed, and not only do we see him so specifically designed, we live out, you know, a high value for life, and we have conscious decisions, and we can formulate thoughts, even though we can't nail that down even at this day and age.
But yet,
maybe like we have technology where people blink and the lights come on, you know, but we can't figure out the one thing that how we all communicate is, like I'm talking now, but we, like I've heard neuroscience saying, we don't know exactly how your split seconds, you know, decision making speech is coming from. But that's massive, you know, that's something we all take for granted. So same with DNA, you know, how specifically, you know, it's the most sophisticated storage system in the whole world, and it always has been.
But it is, but also coming from my side of the table, easy to say that it came from God when we have no. Yeah, it's easy to say there's a hole, but
it won't fit with a designer because it seems so specifically designed. Like the chances of, right, that we're the only planet in our universe, say, that has life that we can observe, like organisms that we can observe so far. But it's not just organisms. It's, you know, organisms that are so intelligent, you know, and have this idea of a higher power, and you know they work in sync, and the universe works in sync. Like they say, you know, insects can't live without plant life. A plant life can't live without insects pollinating them. So which came first? And the chicken and egg problem always arises there, you know. Yeah. And are these two things come together? But that's not what evolution teaches us. What's the other side? Now I'm not saying it's evidence for God, but it's not a proof statement that God exists.
No, yeah. What it does is,
the lack of intermediary stages as well is big. You know, not just with humans. Like, why isn't that one skeleton, you know, of an ancient generation step that came like from the chimpanzee crossover? You know, not just with people, but with animals. You know,
like, do you also know that there is inside dolphins and whales, there is internal limbs of their lower back, which they don't use because they say there used to be legs. Yeah, I've seen. But there are also two creatures that have to surface for air as well. Yeah, and I've also seen a lot about because they're mammals, but apparently them bones as well. The argument to it is that that's what they use to like whales are so massive, or dolphins are big that to mate, them bones actually latch to or support them on. There's been findings on that as well, because they say that never would them bones be big enough to carry a whale on land, right at the back of their body. But at the same time, it's contested between the two, so they throw that at each other. Now it definitely is for mating. Whether it's used for legs, we've never found a whale with legs, a skeleton of it. So that is conspiracy. Where in that side of things, it's not evidence for God, because it still could have evolved to have them for mating, you know. But I would say evolution, right, is, if you think of what is evolution, it's like a process that has intelligence behind it, that is governing our life. But what's the intelligence behind it? Like, well, it's an intelligent system, because it's survival of the fittest, natural selection, survival of the fittest. But how the eyes develop on different animals and how they breed, they obviously start from sludge in the water. It gain legs, and then it gain camouflage to hide from its prey, and which is not obvious. You said obviously, but like it did gain to blend in with its environment and to survive. But so again, so science never said this is exactly what happened, but it predicts it through research and saying, with this and this, we predict that this is how this works. And I would say there's more lack of evidence for that, because then what? Then lack of evidence for God, for a creator, for a designer. The reason I say this is because everything seems so designed, and we can see that. That's apparent. That's a truth. But we can't see any intermediary stages of any species. You know, and surely at this stage, if the world is billions of years old, we would even know how the process is. And I think that evolution is another way of saying God. It's an intelligent frame of process that is molding, intelligent life. And it seems to be specifically governed to do a certain thing, but it is a process that seems to have some intelligence behind it. But did you say this with the watchmaker thing? So you find a watch on the ground had to be made by an intelligent designer, had to be made by a designer. We only know that it's made by a designer because our life experience tells us that it's a designer. But who says that the grass that the watch was found on isn't more complex than the watch is? Why do we determine that this material item is more complex design than the natural flora or ground around us? So we just assume that it's an intelligent designer because it's a watch, and we know watches are made by intelligent designers. But we've no proof of material forming together, so we can't rule that out. I know that this watch came from a factory. I know that. But I found one on the ground. I can assume it came from a factory. But I have no proof that unless there's camera footage of it being dropped, I can still assume that it was formed somehow, but I have no proof for it. The line that I said a while ago, that the kingdom of God is around all of us, but men do not see it, where I see the evidence is, the trees producing oxygen for us, or, how the rain, comes from the sea, goes into the clouds, goes down the land, greens the soil for us, it rolls back, and it does the process over. There's all these specific processes that are in place that are so seemingly designed, but they do a purpose, and it's not just a simple process either. It's interesting, how all these things, are so, like I said, about the plants and the bees, and one can't live without the other, and this is a reason for them.
it seems to go hand in hand almost, and that's why I would say, that when I look around, I think I see it. Like, I think I see it when, I said it, I probably said this a few times, but when I looked at Chiron and my love for him, it's not just what would you call it, an evolutionary kind of, instinct. It's, I love and I want to nurture him, and he means that much to me.
Yeah.
It's not a chemical thing going off in my brain. It's not, if I was evolutionary, I'd know he's just bacteria and a mix of chemicals that formed by chance, which is very random, But
it only had to happen once. It only had to happen once for it then to evolve. Like, we're talking about, say, let's talk about
but I'd say what happened once, like what came.
But an organism only had to mutate once.
Yeah, but what
form something.
Yeah, but I jump back to the matter thing, where did it come from? But I know what you mean.
Yeah,
but it's not just once though, because it had to evolve then and grow into such a complicated creature that we are now.
But can you see then? So science can't prove it yet, but it doesn't say, "Oh, we definitely did evolve." It says, "But predictions are that it evolved." But religion knows that God created it, but without the evidence, like the dragon I had. There's no evidence. Religion forces science to disprove God, but it should be the other way around. Religion should be proving their God. True. Like science does these falsifiable tests on everyday things to prove how different things react to each other.
Yeah, and I would say there's two things with that. Is that one is that it goes back to what I said earlier, that I don't think we will ever be able to prove it. I think that's purposeful.
Yeah.
Because I think you all have to own your own experience. I think that's where Christ comes in. He's that stepping stone between us and the divine. Yeah. And that's his whole purpose. And it's so well thought of. And everything he said went by it. And then the second thing was that, like, what was the second thing he said? How did I lose that there?
I didn't really have 2 points.
Did you only have one? I had two to pull out of it there. But anyway, that was one.
Yeah.
What was the last sentence you said though? It was.
What I was just saying was there's no.
Oh, science proving God, is that?
No, the way around. God asking science to disprove.
I would say that science will never disprove God, and I can't see how it ever would.
But it never claims to, for the simple reason because it can't test it. It can't.
Yeah, but if they came up with a rational idea of how the world was created or matter was created, because the problem is things don't just come into existence out of nowhere, and like we know that nothing's going to pop into this room right now. It doesn't happen. We never see it. Matter doesn't create itself. We know that. So if natural material items don't appear, then maybe it's a supernatural or an extra natural.
But would you be of the opinion that we're 99.999% sure nothing's going to pop into this room right now? We can't 100% prove.
Yeah, but we just can't observe it, which is science.
No, not even that. But like, we can't. Me and you don't know for 100% fact that another lamp is going to come in between us here now.
Yeah.
Now, our evidence on our life experience and knowing what people would say that the lamp is not going to come in there. We just don't think of it.
Yeah.
But we can't disprove
that it won't.
That it won't.
Yeah, true. Because and that's why we can never disprove God.
Yeah.
But say if they did come up with say, now we know how it happened, it would point a lot of things at religion saying, we have an origin of life by natural causes. This could debunk God, the God theory, the designer theory.
Yeah.
So it could knock it out. But God will never do that to science.
No.
But all I can say is that, you could be up there, scratch his head saying, look at everything around you, like, you're never going to come up with this. And you could be right if that is the case, because everything is so in sync.
Yeah.
Like the oxygen we breathe in, it's just perfectly tuned. We went through all that. But I would say as well that it has to leave. I would say you can't come at it with a prejudice against either side.
No.
And I had to go from the fence riding evolutionary side to delving into it, and it compiled for me because it made sense with what I had just gone through, and it continues to make sense. But it's still a knowledge search. Like, I haven't finished the New Testament. I haven't started the Old Testament. I have heard, I've seen parables from it and different verses from it, and yeah, it makes sense. And I know there's a lot of controversy in the Old Testament, and there's different people who interpreted this, guys who are theologians, and they have debates, and you know, they clash on it. I think it's good that they clash on it. It gives people ideas and all.
Yeah.
I would say I don't know why people would spread the atheist doctrine as a life view, because I don't think, to tear down Christianity, I think, you know, in the least God way of things, he was a man who preached a very good doctrine of how we should live with each other that only benefits us without the metaphysics of it.
Yeah.
But that's just the idea of Christ. And then I believe he led me into the divine, because no one comes to a Father through me, and that's what happened before I realised that.
Yeah.
Face change things happen then. But yeah, you can't come to, you know, you have to be willing to say, to look at both sides. And it's like you went back to the Googling. If you want to find something that backs up your faith, you'll find it because you're looking for it.
Yeah.
But you also might find 10 things that goes against it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where we have to be intelligent what we're looking at.
Yeah. I think a big thing as well is the word atheist. When we're growing up and you're called an atheist, you almost take offence. And I remember when even looking at the ad that you put up for this podcast, and it was Christianity versus atheism.
Yeah.
And almost for a split second I was, whoa. And that kind of stopped, and you start to think, yeah, it is true. It's not something that I wouldn't go around and someone asks me, are you religious? I wouldn't say I'm atheist. And I'd never think, and this is why on our first podcast you said atheist, agnostic, and I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is I wouldn't say I sit on the fence.
Yeah.
I'm not full evolution. I wouldn't. It's not all there. But I find more.
It's more consistent.
Yeah, with the way I live, as opposed to put my belief in God.
Yeah.
But I think,
because the likes of Richard Dawkins and them, they would claim atheists.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but no, all I was going to say was I think hand you New Testament and hand me the New Testament. I don't think if I read through the New Testament, I would sway. I don't think it would turn me.
Yeah, but it might give you more respect for the figure, not in a metaphysical way.
No,
but it might say this guy is a super intelligent guy somehow among these people. You know, but you know, I would say people, like, it's true. Yeah, I said before, I don't believe there are atheists, and clearly there is. Right, that is a bold statement to say. Like the likes of Richard Dawkins and these guys, they are.
Yeah.
Scientists would say that not as many people are atheists as they think, because even science is not ruling out that if we come to the realization, if we exhausted all other options, which they mightn't do, they might just keep putting options up for naturalistic view.
Some people will, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of scientists have converted when they said they're agnostic going into it, which means they believe in the natural world and they believe some things like evolution. It's different for different people.
Yeah.
But they think that there could be something that governs.
Yeah, a God.
There could be an intelligent, designer.
Yeah.
And it seems that way. Not necessarily seems that way, so that'd be more on the fence. But there could be. It is possible because it looks that way.
Yeah.
That's
like I often say to you as well. If you had evidence to me now and turned around and showed me that God exists, I would love to see it, and I would love to go, okay, I was wrong. I just don't think there's anything out there for me to get satisfaction out of to swap. I don't actually have a belief. Yeah. I don't believe that. I don't go around going, oh no, the world was definitely created by matter and that, but I don't believe that we were formed by a God who created the perfect Garden of Eden. But when the first, say, Adam and Eve just tried to find their knowledge, they were cast into a world that God had already pre-created, and also these are things that I'm just looking at from atheist point of view. Again, I know what they're talking about. So for sinners, hell. So we go to an infinite burning hell for a finite amount of sins. And is it fair for a merciful God to send us to, like, someone could end up going to, you could be a sinner, you could end up going to hell for simply just ignorance of God. You may not do anything else wrong, but apart from your ignorance towards God, which could say be me. If it does turn out that there is a heaven and hell, do I go to hell just for ignoring God? And if I do, I'm burning in hell for eternity for one sin.
Yeah, well, I would say that this is left open because some people asked me when I first came to religion, and I think that there's an anger there as well. And you know, someone said to me, you know, do you believe I go to hell? And I said, well, Jesus said,
I think this was me.
No,
but
I think we did have an argument as well,
yeah.
And probably a bit heated as well.
Yeah, I think it was.
And but it's funny because a few people came to me with a heated argument, Dad as well, and like Peter Crow, a few people like right on the turning point.
Yeah.
A few people attacked me, and I hadn't read any of this stuff, and there's a lot more like books of it, and I hadn't any way I could like argue the toss. All I knew was that something happened, and it was changing how I saw things, and regardless if I wanted to or not, but it was an eye-opening experience. But I wasn't necessarily being forced through it, but I knew that people were coming at me, and I had to know. That's what kind of said to me, you need to know what you actually believe in on all aspects, and that's why I started delving into it. And still, it's a struggle. But the likes of you saying maybe, you know, first of all, with the judge, like, this is why I think there's a judge there. You know, my answer to that at the time was, Christ said that if you deny me in your life, I will deny you to my Father, and I stand between all men, between him and the judge. So he's not the judge, but he is who vouches for you in a way. That's the idea, because he is the stepping stone. So your relationship with him or your belief in him, he's saying, is what goes. You know, that's why I always think, you know, people go around saying, you know, there is no God, or claiming pure atheism. I think that better off not claiming anything, because what if you're wrong? Like, if I'm wrong, I have the same result as you. But if you're wrong, it could be catastrophic. You could regret it for eternity in, you know, metaphysics. But yeah, so I would never say, no, you're going to hell if you say you don't believe in God. There's a judge there for a reason, because it's obviously not like you know, they're not saying it's a simple decision. If you're a good person, I think that's where your judgment is. If you're an atheist and you're really an atheist and you do bad things, I think maybe the judgment will be more quicker, if there is ever, if you're even a judgment. But I think if you're a good person who values life, and you know,
what an atheist. If you had someone who,
I don't know, if you're an atheist, I don't know, because if you're claiming there's definitely no God and I don't even entertain the idea, then maybe that's, I don't know. I'm not the judge.
No, you know, just picking at, say, so he says, if you deny me, I'll deny you my Father.
But that's why he also says, well, not the same thing, but I knock on every man's door. And I would say that, you know, you say to me, can you show me proof? If you turn around and give me proof, then maybe you could think about it at least. And I said a few times on the podcast, you know, that if people ask, I very rarely heard of anyone not coming up with an answer back. So if you don't have a presupposition about religion, and people do because of what the Catholic Church have done, and about the mumble in the church and not liking being there, and it's gone. But if someone sat at the edge of the bed and said, look, I'm willing to entertain the idea, it might seem stupid to do it or silly to do it, but I haven't yet heard of someone who's come back a few weeks later and said nothing happened, you know. And I'm not saying that's like, but that's where your own, like, at least you asked, and that's all Christ says, you know, if you open the door, I'll walk through and I'll come and dine with him. But it's worth asking, you know, like, because we live 50 or 60, 70 years, it might take a minute and a half of your life, but it is the fundamental, you know, message of the West, you know, is Christianity and Christ. And it's worth entertaining if people are looking for evidence, really. And that's why I say you need to look at both sides. scientific and religious. I'd say religious. I don't think religious is like, it sounds like an organised religion. It's more faith, I think, but that's asking on the other side, you know. And if people do that, I think, fair enough if they came back and said, like if you come back 2 weeks later and tell them something else, and you said, by the way, I asked that and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
That's all you can do, you know, that kind of way, you know.
Because I do think, like, maybe years ago, 16, 17, there was things going on in my life, and granted they weren't death or life situations, but I do think that, and I know for a fact there was times where I was kind of saying, you know, I kind of said, please God this, please God that, and I got to a stage where if there's a God, I need this to happen, and it just didn't happen. I think though, my opinion of you saying, sitting at the end of the bed and saying, right, I'm willing to go, that's almost a step through the door. And I think then that if something good happened within that 2 weeks of me coming back to you, that I would objectively look at it and go, oh, that's because I've done that, or that thing might have happened, or it might have already been.
Yeah, it's true. You have to be intelligent about these things. In my case, something stepped through the door before I moved at that moment. So mine might be more dramatic than other people's. Although I've heard, you know, people, like, you know, all you have to do is Google testimonies on YouTube to see millions and millions, and it happen in different ways because it happens differently to everybody, and it govern around their life. And I believe timing is key. And when I look back at things and how people come to me and different people they introduced to my life at different times, the timing fits so well at different jobs and everything coming together. It just, you know, fits. Even this podcast, or, you know, people messaging me and my friends, and but I think that, you know, it's saying that, you know, okay, you know, if you're here, I need you to show me, or else I'm going to keep going that way, you know, that kind of way. But then at the same time, you have to be scientific about it, which means if then something falls off the counter, well, let's investigate what happened there. You know, was a window, you know what I mean? Like, that's not enough. You know, something fall like
no, but it could have been. It depends if it was. Yeah, you do have to be scientific, because if that's on a sticky pad hook. But the thing could have been.
But that's what I mean. There can be no room for coincidences if you want your answer. So you need to say that. But say it. You know what I mean? Like, because Christ was the one who said, you don't need to dress up and go to mass to be. You know, all you need is a relationship, and that's why I think he said, I stand between. But if people, some people, like, the idea that if he was walking around a coffee cup, you know, just a hippie, is ignorant to who he was as an impactful, intelligent, middle class person, you know, because it's, you know, that's putting your fingers in your ear, because you're not even trying to figure out who he was as a person. But if you sat down and thought, who is he as a metaphysical being, you know, the answer, did he resurrect from the dead? That's what Christianity hinges on. If he didn't, then there's no Christianity. But the spirit lives on, you know, and spirit can be interpreted final vibration in the ear. There's a lot of different planes the spirit is interpreted on, but it has, you know, cultivated our whole Western culture. But like, that's what I mean. You're coming out and saying, I want scientific proofs, or, you know, I build my life on scientific evidences. And I'm saying that's true, and I add the metaphysical side of it. But I'm saying probably I got there from a metaphysical experience, and probably that's the difference, that you never had that. Not that you're lacking anything, it's just your life hasn't gone that way. That hasn't been relevant. It hasn't come up in your set of events. Kind of, isn't that fair to say? Or what way would you sum up similar to?
Like, I haven't, things that I accomplish, or things that work out for me are.
What you put work into?
I down to, like, I would think force of science, or whatever you want to say it. A lot of people say the law of attraction. I don't believe in the law. I believe in the law of attraction in the sense of, you know, if I go into work and I'm a happy guy and I'm getting my work done and I'm positive and I'm helping everyone around me, that of course the manager's going to look at me and think, this guy needs a promotion. But I don't think the law of attraction works in cases where, you know, oh, I really needed the money and I found money in the ground, or I really want to do this, and next of all, an opportunity, someone comes around the corner and says, "Oh, you know what? You should do this." Far-fetched from me.
Yeah.
So maybe to you, I have my fingers in my ear, not listening to the knock on the door. To me, there is
No, well, I'd say,
door.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I wouldn't say you have your fingers in your ear. I'd say, yeah, see
If the knock came,
yeah.
I would
So I think the
definitely
knock-
stick my eye out to the people. Whether or not I open it now is a different story. I have to investigate.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm not sitting with my fingers in my ears. But there is no knock.
Yeah, well, maybe it takes a turn towards it, the door, or that which is asking, because you know, well, like the thing is, 5 years ago, there's a 5 year distance between us. I'd be sitting where you are sitting now, and saying, "Science is the only thing that's made sense in my life."
Yeah.
I'm not saying I've evolved from your way of thinking, or anything like that, but the things that have happened since then, in my circumstances, have changed it. But if I was 25, I'd be sitting here, we would have the exact same art, like we'd be seeing eye to eye on it.
Yeah.
And I think we do see eye to eye on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And like on science, because science predicts things, and
Everyday science, yeah. Does.
I believe, you know, we're both saying that, that there is an argument for a design, and there is gaps in both sides.
Yeah.
And I think that the gap will always be there with religion. I think that's a fundamental part of it, because if it's proof, then everyone would have to live it out, and it has to be a choice.
Yeah.
But science can't prove that, so we're stuck where some people have experiences, some people don't, and now we're kind of like, look, I can't believe your experience because I didn't go through that. So it's kind of like, well, we'll have to hold the science then until something else, or maybe nothing else will happen.
No, I wouldn't say. I'd say it'll be far past our time before they're even scratching the surface of discovering anything that would point in either direction.
And you know, it's funny because they have so many technologies now, groundbreaking stuff. You know, we talked the last time we spoke. You talked about the airplanes, and we talked about the wheelchairs. And did you see the Facebook, the big Mark Zuckerberg presentation a few weeks ago? I was in Israel, so 2 weeks ago, where he was talking about VR. We know VR is all there. He's going to make Facebook VR.
Yeah.
But he also went on to say, well, that's amazing. We have VR a few years now. We know what it's like. It is pretty amazing stuff. You know, you're basically in a different world. Like, you play that game, Resident Evil. You can't. It could be broad daylight outside. You can't escape from your mind. But you can't escape from that where you are. You know, even if you're playing the gun game, even you get lost in it. Say you're midway through a match. You're there. Everything's 3D, and you believe it. But he's saying that they're with this new technology company who are talking about the next step of AI, and they have VR glasses, and this different company.
AR glasses, augmented.
He has the AR glasses, but there's also these other glasses that this is just normal mainstream glasses that are going to be released. That you adjust them to what your eyesight's like. Okay. You know, so short-sighted, but if you blink twice, it zooms in on things, and these kind of things. Well, your man Mark Zuckerberg says this is his wrist. It's like a box on the wrist. Now it looks big now, but I can imagine it's tapping into your neurons, your nervous system, and it's controlling electrical components all around you. So he's like, it's just a wrist. There's no wires, nothing like that. But he's turning your computer on. It's turning your TV on. It's turning up and down, or it's turning on the kettle by your willingness almost to do it, by your nervous system reacting. He said, now this is very, very early stages stuff, but he said that it is tapping into your nervous system.
What determines the difference between turning the kettle on and the TV on? The same want, the same will, which is a different.
I don't know exactly how it works. Like, because we've seen this. Do you see the TED Talk? Well, like we were talking about the wheelchair. What they did was they had the thing on the screen, on the computer screen, and your man was making the boxes move in and out by just his mind kind of doing it. It was, and because they're tapping into it. But it's like that idea. What's the next step of it? So this, like, in some ways, science can answer the basic of questions, why we're here, but telekinesis isn't even possible at this stage.
Did
you see?
But that is the thing. Like, again,
same thing, 99.999% sure I'm not going to move that cup in my mind. You know, just because I can't do it now doesn't mean I won't ever be able to do it.
Yeah.
My life experience, I've never moved anything in my mind before.
Yeah, everything is possible, and that's the problem.
Yeah, there's always that point, 0 point.
You've heard of people who've, these mothers lifting cars to get their babies out.
Power of mind, I would assume, it's
the same thing. We were talking about this earlier on. I was back lifting weights now ever since my injury.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to do. No, I'm not afraid to do it.
Your body's afraid.
But it's like my body is. There's like systems inside your body. Like if I hold my arm out like that, like really, what am I thinking of? It seems so natural, but that's being held up by a series of what? Like a will is one thing.
Muscles.
Electrons, maybe, but if I just forget about it, it just drops. But just to do that, even when you think about it, it's pretty, it's instantaneous, it's like, it works in sync. But my body wouldn't let me, even though my mind wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they can clash. It's like the body has its own mind in certain ways, and it protects you. I've seen, we're talking about it. I've seen straight after that Mark Zuckerberg thing. You see, you must have seen this. It's all over Facebook. People have their feet out on the couch, and they download this Nike app, and they look at what shoes they want, and it appears on their feet. But it's proper. It looks like they're wearing them shoes.
Yeah, like this is something in college. I was doing an idea of technology in the retail industry. And my idea was, you're at home, and you connect to a smart mirror. You stand in front of the smart mirror and you flick, and it scans your body, scans your dimensions, and you flick a woman a dress, and the dress is on them. You flick, or a man, you flick a shirt, and the shirt's on them. How easy, I hate going into a shop and taking off my clothes.
You never try it on.
No.
Men especially.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So imagine sitting at home.
Like large or XL. So some shops are XL, some shops
Yeah.
are large. I don't know. And then I'm willing to make the journey back, but you never do make the journey back.
Now, with this technology, it'd be very hard to actually get a full read. But if I'm sitting at home and I do this and I go, geez, that shirt's only €20 down from 50, let's try it on. Boom, on the map. Order, buy, go to the shop, take it off after one behind the counter. How much money?
Because they're coming to it now. That's what they advertised with the Xbox Connect initially.
Yeah.
And I never got to it. But now they seem to have it like fairly to a T.
Yeah.
You can see people's jeans and all while they're wearing it. They're wearing it with their outfit then, and they look proper. Like even the tracking of their feet, while they're walking around.
Yeah. If you can do it with CGI, you can do it for 3D morphing. Why can't you do it for?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see how realistic games are. That's the CGI they have,
Yeah.
But on that as well, right? Like I was thinking, it seems like technology is filling a gap. I'm going to put this to you. You think what you of our inadequacies.
Okay.
Right, so it's saying that now. So what I'm saying by that is the glasses, the bad side, and we're zooming in, we're making it super side now. You know what I mean?
Our defects.
More are defects because they're making 3D prints and they're making, hips, aesthetics,
organs. They're 3D printing organs.
Yeah, organs. Yeah, it's crazy. What they're doing, but that's the technology.
Yeah.
And they're curing diseases.
Yeah.
You can see that. Do you think we'll get to a stage where
they'll take over?
No, where nearly everyone, like I'm not saying the next few years,
no,
but people will die of old age or accidents only. Do you know what I'm saying?
No diseases, no illnesses.
Yeah, it's not going to be failing arteries. It's not. You know what I mean? It's a possibility.
I was listening to Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. And he discussed, and he's very
super intelligent guy, though, isn't he?
No, he's very I wouldn't say scared, but aware of AI, and he says it in a way that he says we're going to get to a stage where we're going to be connected to an AI system, or that will be a better version of us. And when we pass, we can be put into a new body, and we can live again. And so, our heart fails. Okay, which is, my heart's failing. We actually have an AI heart here, a prosthetic heart connected machine, put it in, and there we go. Now, this is obviously, I don't know what his religious belief is. I don't didn't really get into much to it, but he thinks that if we don't put a restriction on AI, that we're going to try and adapt ourselves with AI. AI's got to win.
That is coming, and this is the risk thing. It could be. In one way, I'm excited about these things. Another way, I'm like, what makes us human? You know, how far can we go? You know, they're trying to figure out brain transplants. You know, and stuff like that. But at a stage, if you get so many transplants, when is it not you?
Yeah,
like you know what I mean? Like brain transplant, like or your heart transplant. Like that's where we're like you're like you're hurt in your heart. You know when something happens, and you think from your mind or you know, it's very peculiar. You know, like when does it not become you anymore? When is it just a vehicle? You know.
Yeah.
But you know, I think as well. But it is possible then that people will live to 100. Say there's people that do live to 100, but that'll be like they will get to a stage where we could be living in what would be known as the disease era.
Yeah.
In the big scale history.
Maybe.
And people are like, oh, there was, you know, name a big thing.
Maybe we would have tested.
If there was Ebola, you know, that cancer was rife, you know, and we figured it out in 2051. You know, like
AIDS.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we could be in that bracket where it's not. It's completely believable that will be the case. Could be 400 years time. It could be a lot less. You know, you say technology improves so much, and you have people's minds, and you know we can do.
You know, the AI that it's scary about it was, and you know, most made reference to it. The AI that they allowed to build up knowledge, it drowned itself. It went through Twitter and it ended up drowning itself. That's kind of scary.
Did it?
Yeah. There was not the same AI that became. This one was just an online AI that became a Hitler-loving homophobic. This was like a robot they invented, had it in a thing, and they let its AI learn. And it tried. I don't know what else is the robot, but it tried to drown itself. And that's kind of scary about what is out there. Yeah. And if AI does pick up on something like that,
if it's you know thinking about making these decisions, that's scary because you know as well. I seen this AI thing where it just it made some program where an AI was running, and hurdles in the AI kept falling on hurdles. And it kept running it, and eventually over time
it learned.
It was climbing over the hurdles, and you see that thing with Facebook, where the two computers start talking to each other, switching down, because it seemed like they were communicating in their own
language.
It was like what they call it, binary kind of code or whatever it was. Well, I think it is a bit crazy, but what do you envision the world being for our grandkids? If we're playing with VR, the next thing I'm talking about is like haptic gloves, where you pick up an object. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying our kids because that's also their generation. But still, like, there's a big difference between when we were 3 years old and now. Yeah. It was Super Mario and.
That's what we laugh about. Say, like older people now, we show them new phones, and I didn't even know that was on it. It had a camera on it. And we're kind of going, like, how do you not know Google was there? But like, is it going to come to another 40 years if we go down the road and nothing? Like, it's going to be, what even is that? They're going to have phones the size of their fingers, and they'll know how to use it. We won't, and we'll be the laughing stock. Like, so.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like you could like the world like that they live in. Like there's ways of communicating now, like instantaneously over the internet. That was never heard of with our grandparents. Yeah. What we can envision, we can envision holograph stuff like that. Yeah. But what we never heard of is probably around the corner. Yeah. You know, if they're thinking about wrist things in our age that can turn on your daily everyday items, soon everything will be electronic. Doors and everything then. Yeah. And we'll just walk through life and doors will open for us.
We won't need to walk. We'll work from home.
Like, it's not too bad to think that when you sit down, your computer will open. Like, your phone already does that. Your face recognition. Like, we will work from home, but we'll become less social.
Will we work? Hey, robots are doing our jobs, and some of our jobs.
We'll be in a stage where what will people do?
We'll literally be in a 4x4 room. Like, you could be 100,000 miles away, but I can just boom, instant, and you're here in front of me, and it's not blue haze, it's 3D model and freaking, handshake, and they feel it. You feel a handshake. Yeah, it's all like we won't need to leave.
It's more than possible. It's on the verge of it. Yeah, But the problem is that one is, like we said, when you stop becoming human, like what is human? Like it's flesh, it's visual, it's sensory. We've only got our senses. We've had 5 senses for as long as we know. That's all. You know, we come in contact with each other. Now, what's already happened is the TV box sets thing on Netflix, where people go home and they sit in their house now, and rather than the community kind of spirit. That's already done. They're doing that a long time now. You know, you get up, you go in your car in the morning, you drive to work, you're in them 4 walls, get out, get back in your car, back to home, turn on your TV, your favourite programme, you're there. You look outside, I live in the state, I look outside, there's nobody.
No.
You know, like, and I remember living in Dublin, in Clondalkin, and they had barbecues. Now, it wasn't once a year, but it was more than that. You know, and people were outside and they were in the front garden talking to their neighbour over the wall the whole time.
But let's say, so, just an example.
It's ruining that.
Yeah, but even like saying now, in your estate, if at 8 o'clock at night and it's this dark, there's a barbecue 4 houses down in the front yard, would you let Kyron out by himself to go get a burger?
No.
But years ago, would that have been the norm?
Yeah.
There's a lot of social, I don't know what it is. Like,
and you know, people are justified as well with that.
Yeah.
Because people say it's overprotective, but also that's when that you're setting up the environment for it to happen.
Yeah.
The possibility gets much larger.
Yeah.
And the scare is that, you know, there's much more people like that who can get away with it a lot easier nowadays, you know.
But you would have thought the opposite. You would have thought years ago there wasn't this, you weren't connected on Facebook, Snapchat, Maps, WhatsApp, and not that much of, probably not that much of it. When I say not that much of it, maybe not that much of it was reported and found. But nowadays, you know, you wouldn't send, and you'd be right not to send Kyron 4 houses down to get a burger off. But like, if someone did do something,
but you know what's interesting? There's a level of trust, because Kyron has a friend of you doors down.
Yeah.
We've met the parents in passing.
Yeah.
And we're playing, and there's a level of trust there. So now he goes into the house and that.
Yeah.
So maybe they had that more level of trust because they're around everybody.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But we're ruining that with
technology.
I went home. I spoke about this in the podcast. I went home during the week. Wednesday it was. I was shattered. No, it wasn't Wednesday. It was my college. Tuesday, and I was shattered tired. Today's Tuesday. It was last weekend, Thursday. And but I started you around. No, Dublin. How do you get around? No, actually, you working shift. Tom. By the time I got there, it was late. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But now we know if you throw it on the list.
Gonna cut that bit out.
But I hadn't been in that for ages to meet up. These are my reasons.
Yeah.
I hadn't been to that, and I'm trying to have a cup of tea with him. Just have a chat.
You saw Tom 2 weeks ago for fucking me. Alright.
Tom's trying to have some HR.
Yeah, he's on the fence or something like that. I don't know what fence he's on top of, but anyway.
That fence was washed up.
Yeah.
But Paddy, I had something to give Paddy from
Israel, yeah. Very true.
It was, and then I said, where does Tom live? Then because I realised I was texting these guys every day, but I'm texting them and I'm communicating them, and that's after taking over. I'm Snapchatting Noel and Jimmy and Peter Pro, all Vinny, Quinn, all my best mates. Every time I talk with them, if I used to put that into percentage, 1 or 2% is actually seeing them, and 98% is communication by AI from miles away.
Yeah.
And we accept that now.
Yeah.
Like we got to a stage where that's okay. You know, I talked to him the other day. I rang him on the phone. Even ringing on the phone is like the equivalent of meeting up with someone now.
Yeah.
Because that's not text. You know, like
you see, even our like relations, and like it's last time you saw uncles and aunties and cousins. Like, apart from a birthday party.
That's why I always said that I wanted a big family.
Yeah.
Because seeing that years ago, like you think of Anna's house years ago, like with their 10 siblings and their partners and their kids, the TV was never on, and you know, everyone was laughing. They were in 2 rooms. You went between rooms. Everyone like had a laugh with each other. They were happy to see each other. Now we're like, it's all made up. But if we're doing it in the house, we'll find something on YouTube or find a film to watch, or we'll throw on the game with it. Not that's bad. Like at least we're there with each other rather than playing from distance or whatever that. Like, now a phone call is the equivalent of meeting up.
But even at that, like there's 2 things. I'm guilty of it myself. Like, when's the last time you asked Paddy, Tom, or the lads, do you want to go for a coffee and talk?
Yeah.
But what?
That's the thing. That's why I was saying to myself, I need to get out.
Yeah.
And I have to take it on myself.
But it's not even out more. Like I'm saying, when's the last time you asked them for a coffee?
No, that's what I meant.
But compare it to when's the last time you asked them to go for a pint?
Yeah, that's what I meant to get out more.
Oh yeah. Just
It's like read around.
Yeah.
I'm sick of texting them.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's not, you don't have any memories of texting.
No.
Like you won't remember it. And then I see them and, you know, they look a little bit different because it's been so long. I haven't seen Peter Crow since, I don't know. You never been?
Yeah. He was fourth on your list.
He was fourth on the list anyway, so I don't know. But no one as well. I see these guys once. We all went to meet up there recently.
Yeah.
That's why I did Jimmy's podcast, episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
And we were planning it for months because they say by the time you're 30, your life becomes so idiosyncratic that, you know, you have so many dimensions of your life.
Yeah.
That's why you should never compare yourself to someone else, because it's not fair. It's different scenarios, different lives, different responsibilities. There's too many elements going on.
Yeah.
You can't compare yourself to someone else because you don't know really, you know. So the idea was to compare yourself to who you are yesterday. And I spoke about Neil, you know, and because you were very much like who you are yesterday, you're the most like that. Right?
Yeah.
You know, and but like, you know, I think I'm excited about new technology, and I watch it, like, and I was stuck to that. Even in Israel, I was back to my phone.
Yeah.
And Mark Zuckerberg talk about that.
On your phone, yeah.
On my phone. But then I'm also afraid of it. And I hate it for one reason, and I love it for the other reason. I love the experience of it, and then I hate what it's doing to the fabric of being, you know, the family life. The people have 1 or 2 kids now, and because they're watching TV and they're disturbed by much more, it's not convenient. You know, like, I want a big family, you know, like I want to have the you know, the root of family life, you know, like we felt over 51 or whatever like that, you know, everyone come together. You know, you have your sons and daughters and your brothers and sisters, and they have their sons and daughters, and it's a big family, and all there having a laugh and not necessarily watching TV or having to, you know, sure they're going to bring over some mad VR contraption stuff.
Yeah.
And we sound like a real old saying it, but it's not that far away.
No.
My second kid's on the way now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When he's 18, is he going to have not a video call, but is he going to open his phone and you're going to appear halfway out the screen?
It's already showing me toys that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
They're a bit mad.
Your second child?
Yeah. I don't know what child. But I do think that, like, one thing I want to ask you, in keeping with this podcast, how do you see technology affecting fitness going forward?
Affecting fitness?
In terms of, well, I'm going to throw some answers, like, so, you know, the anti-gravity treadmills.
Yeah.
And it gets rid of the aches and the pains, and, you know, I think the bad side of that is you're not building up your leg muscles and using them much.
Yeah.
You know, you should, that's just me thinking that you should be confident enough to be able, you know, obviously, like someone says, why lift weights, or, you know, I don't want to be saggy, and I don't want to, it's also, it builds your fibre stronger, it holds off arthritis. There's a lot of good reasons to build up muscle. I'm not saying massive.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than just aesthetic things that, you know, it serves a purpose, it keeps you healthy.
I think
fitness, like, think of the sports science end of things.
Yeah, I think there's a good guy I follow, Rob Movements, on Instagram, and he does a lot of, like, he says, you know our feet. So when we step and we're walking, there's a movement. It's almost like your toe is, you put so like your knuckles, put your toe and you put your foot 90 degrees. And he puts his foot all the way that way, and then he'll bend it back down. We don't get that range of movement. But he says what we're actually doing is we're building up just useless muscle underneath if we're not doing that. So he actually does all these different movements. I would say they probably look at, like, there's like the older people who done the runs and the marathons years ago will just say, yeah, use a treadmill, it's fine. New people are going to come in and say, well, you jump, like, stepping on a treadmill, you're using your shock absorbers and you're doing this and that. They will allow for a lot more movement. It's I suppose the same as looking at manual labor now and then. Like, you move a rock by hand, or there's a guy go up and he has a bit of force to pull inside a digger, and now a guy hits a flick and a switch and the thing picks it up and moves it to a thing. Like, it'll have its up as it'll have its down. It'll have the science behind the sports, but I think it'll get less strenuous. You'll probably find that a lot of guys will get into shape a lot quicker, but without actually feeling like they'll get into shape in maybe 2 weeks with certain technology, but they want to go again. They want to go further and further. And it just, when you do 4 or 5 weeks of exercise back to back and you feel it, and these guys won't feel that satisfaction.
There's also like the great thing with exercise is the mental side of things. I went for a jog today and we went for a few points on Saturday. Still lingering a small bit. Maybe I'm drinking a lot more water since then, and I didn't sleep well for the last 2 nights. And that's a problem with alcohol consumption, I guess. Or a large amount of it, and the lack of sleep that comes along with it. But so what I relied on there a bit was the mental side of things. I was kind of like, felt as if I was struggling to take 3 or 4K in. And then I just like remembered, and I heard a lot of runners, Joe Rogan as well, talking about, the mental battle there. If you don't listen to music when you're running, you force yourself to contend with yourself. Your mental. And then I remembered that, and I 45 kilometer fastest or something like that. I got out of it. So what I'm thinking is that if you make things too easy, like the zero gravity runners or something like that, zero treadmills. Now, of course, we should focus on like people that have shins bits off, but that's obviously a reason for that. Your muscles are knotted up, and you shouldn't maybe get a pair of shoes that don't resolve the issue. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like you say, get the foam roller out and just go at it. You need to resolve the issue rather than avoiding it. Like, I think low gravity this, that, or the other, you're not building the muscles. What are you doing? You're just losing weight for the sake of losing weight. It's obviously healthy, right? And cardiovascular thing for your heart. But the combination of the struggle, the atmospheric conditions, like hiking sometimes, and the rain, me kind of got stuck inside a rain cloud almost, being there, we will never forget that, but that was part of the experience of doing it.
It's the achievement then at the end.
Because it's hardship, and then that's how you achieve something.
Reward,
Hardship for it. And I think that, that's probably another thing that technology is getting rid of, that we should think twice on before. Like, when I started looking to get really fit, I don't know, I was always going to the gym a little bit, but then I started taking it on properly a few years ago. And I said, I'd get a really proper carbon bike, and I get the latest of watches there is, and I get the best of runners and all. Then I wasn't using the phones. What they were saying, the bike is gathering dust, the runners were used once a month, and the watch was used as a gadget. And then I was like an accessory. Then I was like to myself, you have to be real with yourself. What are you going to set out and achieve something, or are you just talking shy? Like, if you're going to go out and get this kind of gear, you at least have to fucking use it. Or else it's money not spent well. No one cares how much you spend on these things. It matters if it values you and it benefits you. And that's what I would say in terms of gadgets and all that. The cheapest of watches might monitor your heart rate and track your distance.
That's all you need,
Exactly, that's all you need.
Yeah, you don't need a text and Spotify and a camera. You don't need that.
And they're convenience things. Like, it might make the experience a bit more not convenient, but even more than that, luxurious, say. We don't need, it's not needed at all. Like, really, I remember for running today, Strava, outside of run, go. The only thing I look at watches to see is to track roughly where I was, my pace. Now I have earphones on. The Bluetooth earphones do help because it's
the wireless,
and it can be any brand, And but I think that, like, basically, technology, what we're saying, we're on the cusp, but technology is crazy at the moment. But they could have said that 40 years ago.
They're always going to say that.
They're always going to say that.
This is, it's always going to be.
It's like, your father says, we work a lot harder than you. Your father said to you, and then his father said to you.
And we're going to say it.
I'm going to say it to my kid, and we're just going to pass it down until someone realises.
We'll never surpass technology.
No.
And can we restrict it? Yeah, we stop developing it, but when we stop developing it, then we're kind of like technology. Look at it, like there's robots doing surgery, and the reason they're doing it is because there's no shaky hand syndrome. They're doing the exact same thing repetitive like a robot.
Yeah, get rid of the
human errors. Yeah, like, but yeah, so they might go, look, we're able to do an appendix operation here. Are we going to test on the heart? No, not yet, because that's severe life and death. Obviously, the appendix can go wrong operation, but like they'll start with stitching and they'll do it and they keep developing it. But there's never someone going to stop and go, okay, so I can do heart surgery. Yeah, right, that's it. That's like, you just don't. They go want to see what we can do next. What can we do next?
Yeah, but it can make life very boring if it continues in terms of it taking people's jobs. Imagine if every restaurant you went to, chains of restaurants, all had they would probably become chains because the technology would overrun and they'd buy out everyone. And you'd have robotic chefs with the same ingredients, sourcing the same thing, the same lead time.
Yeah,
you'd always get the exact same, quality of food, taste the same portion. But it'll be very bland.
Yeah.
Like, if you go and you head out with someone and you decide that, if you're going to meet up and get some food, and like us through the night and we all got different things, we're not sure what it is.
Yeah.
We're tasting each other's ones, we're having a bit of a laugh at what the other person got. That's gone because we know we're going to get it. It's the same as it's going to come out the exact same as it did last time. If that's just one example, if things kept going like that, could make things very bland, couldn't it? Like, they say that all cars might look the same because they're going to have the most aerodynamic design.
Yeah. And
they're all going to have the exact same shape. And that's the way, you see that iRobot a few years ago, but they are making concept cars that just look the same.
But it's the full circle. I say the same about music. All cars started out the same because one guy invented a car and someone else went, that's a great idea, I'm going to invent my car like that. And it took one person to spark it, and now they're saying we're going to go back to, same with music. We started with some guy on a violin or some guy on an acoustic guitar, and then it develops into this big pop thing, and now we see the likes of, say, Dermot Kennedy or Ed Sheeran, them kind of guys who come in and bring back the acoustic, and they go, and everyone's kind of going, I've listened to enough dance music, this is actually good, listen. It just, life just keeps doing, as it's evolving, is also doing circles, like.
Yeah. And the fear is, it's very fear, but it takes humanity out of it, or the humanness out of it. But, like we said, they could have been saying that in the 60s when they went to the moon. Yeah. They could be saying, next year, our kids are, and they haven't. But I think technology is, like my watch has the same technology, the space, that they had inside that ship that went to the moon.
Yeah.
They say more technology in it now. Yeah. And the computers that send people to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And you wear that and it's nothing, it's like £1, £2 weight. But we can't do that obviously. But what I'm saying, you see people breaking the speed barrier and jumping from the top of the world kind of thing, we are. I just think that we have to be conscious that Mark Zuckerberg obviously that's his domain. Yeah. He's a leader in these things and he's going to push it and we're all going to eat it up and forget about the consequences. But I do think that we have to remember what's human about us as well, and what we value. Like family isn't just a trivial thing. Family life, and I do it now, especially with this podcast, and I have to get better at it. Two things I've realised this week, that I'm always on the phone, and it can be demanding in that way because now I'll edit this at home, and then you'll go through. I'll check, and then I put a trailer up for it, and then every morning I'll check my stats of how many people listened the day before, and then I'm on my phone and not spending time recording, just we need to forget about technology sometimes and just get back to really what matters as well.
But most of the time, all we're looking at is what people done with their time when they put away their phone.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I know to take a picture of, to do a hike, but they've done the hike and we're going, oh, look, someone done a hike. Oh, look, someone else done a hike. That's two people that spent hours doing a hike and took a picture of it.
Yeah.
And we just looked at it on our phone and killed 5 minutes to find it.
Yeah.
And
I said this been all years, that sometimes you look through your phone for an hour and you don't know. You couldn't recall 2 hours later what you actually looked up.
No.
Because it looked up very different.
Yeah.
But the act of getting out and doing a run and being out with the nature, just I think it's good for because it's good for yourself, good for your mentality, say.
Yeah.
And coming back and sitting down playing cards and crying, you both remember that's a memory. And instead of texting your friends, going out to meet them, or your family, going out to meet them relative, because you won't remember that text or that conversation, but you remember the time you dropped by them and you had a laugh about something that happened and you were talking about whatever, and then you made a plan from there.
Yeah.
It's the human interactions are being pulled out, basically.
Yeah.
But, that's the case where. Right, okay, we'll wrap up there.
What?
Yeah, it's like 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
No, fair play again.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
We had shook from nothing because no cameras got on anymore.
No, is there?